Every time we see him, it's usually about fixing, modifying, or even upgrading cars. But this time, things are completely different. Get ready. We're about to witness brutal endurance tests, literally destructive ones, with the world-famous American YouTuber WhistlinDiesel. We'll see him take on a Ferrari, a Rolls-Royce, a G-Class, and even a Tesla. Make sure you're subscribed here to Twin Power, and let's see what kind of madness this guy is up to. The first video series that made him really famous was the one with the beast of luxury, the Rolls-Royce Phantom. It wasn't one of the newest models, but performance-wise, this car came with a V12 twin-turbo engine, producing 563 horsepower and an incredible 900 Newton-meters of torque. It also had a ZF 8-speed automatic transmission, made in Germany. He goes to pick up the car from its owner, who warns him to take good care of it, because it's worth $500,000. Then he heads out to the location where his endurance test adventure will begin. He drives into a narrow, rough side street, then under a bridge. He starts driving on uneven, slanted surfaces and finishes with a quick drift. So far, nothing serious has happened. But then, he takes the car and drives all the way to another state. By the time he gets there, the Rolls-Royce is covered in dust and looks completely wrecked. It looked so bad that the police actually stopped him, asking for registration and ownership papers, thinking the car might be stolen. He explains that it belongs to a friend, and after checking, they let him go. After that, he parks the Rolls-Royce in a no-parking zone, and when he returns, it's wheel-clamped. Instead of waiting for help, he recklessly decides not to waste any time. He starts the car and drives with the clamp still on. He stops, reverses, and the side step breaks off, along with part of the front section. He presses the accelerator hard and speeds up. Everything starts falling off. The clamp breaks. The side step detaches completely. Chaos. He then goes to fix the tire that was damaged by the clamp. But when they try to lift the car, they realize a part underneath is completely bent, so they just inflate the tire again and keep going. While driving, he climbs onto a roadside barrier, balancing the car on its side, and then makes a crazy drop from it. Next, he cuts the exhaust system in half, starts the car again, and of course, the sound becomes extremely loud and very different. He drives into a rocky desert area and starts driving like a maniac, in reverse, downhill, over uneven terrain. The car's exterior starts falling apart, pieces literally breaking off while moving. Then, things get worse. He drives over huge stones, and warning lights start flashing all over the dashboard. Suddenly, the Rolls-Royce completely stops. He steps on the gas, but it won't move. Smoke rises from the engine bay. But instead of stopping there, he decides to keep playing. From inside the cabin, he starts breaking the center console, ripping out the glove box, tearing the wiring for the cabin lights, and even yanking down the sun visors violently. He breaks the side mirrors, then takes the car to a high platform. He starts the engine, lets it roll down by itself, and the Rolls-Royce takes several brutal hits, destroying what's left of it. But for him, this was just the beginning. He goes inside the wrecked car with a knife, cuts out the Rolls-Royce logo from the seats, and with a hammer smashes the dashboard, including the luxury clock, completely destroying it. Then comes the next insane stage. He ties several parts of the car to a bulldozer's winch, starts pulling the steering column until it rips out completely. He does the same with the driver's headrest, pulls it out violently. When he tries to pull the entire door, it bends but doesn't break easily. Only the window frame snaps off. Not satisfied, he slams the door shut hard, just to make sure it's properly closed. Then, he takes the car into the workshop in the hardest way possible, dragging it behind a mini excavator fitted with a saw usually used for cutting small trees and grass. So naturally, he tests it on the Rolls-Royce's front end. The iconic grille is gone instantly. He keeps cutting deeper into the front, and as expected, the entire front section gets severely destroyed. And just when you think it's over, he decides to make it a convertible, cutting off the roof pillars from both sides, then tearing off the trunk. Finally, he flips the whole car over and completely crushes the interior. Seats, panels, everything. By the end of it, the Rolls-Royce Phantom was utterly annihilated. And then, in a comedic twist, the car's owner calls him, asking how the test went. After destroying the Rolls-Royce, the next car on his list is something far more aggressive: the Ferrari F8 Tributo, a masterpiece that costs around $300,000, powered by a V8 twin-turbo engine that produces 710 horsepower and 770 newton-meters of torque. It's one of the fastest Ferraris ever built, with a top speed of 340 kilometers per hour and acceleration from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 2.9 seconds. At first, everything looks normal. He's driving calmly, admiring the car's power, and you might think he's finally going to treat a car with respect this time. But, of course, it's WhistlinDiesel, and things are never that simple. After a few minutes, he drives the Ferrari through mud, letting dirt splash over the shiny red paint. He then heads toward a rocky area and starts drifting, not on asphalt, but on loose gravel. You can literally hear stones hitting the bodywork, cracking the paint, and scratching the fenders. Then he drives into a massive puddle, soaking the car from all sides. The exhaust starts sputtering and blowing out steam. But that's not enough for him. He parks the Ferrari on a small hill, floors the accelerator, and begins doing reverse drifts while spinning the steering wheel like crazy. The car starts bouncing and sliding violently. You can hear the undercarriage hitting the rocks beneath. He then gets out, walks around the Ferrari, and the once perfect body is now covered in mud and dents. The paint is chipped, the wheels are scratched, and the front splitter is hanging loose. He drives again, this time faster, and suddenly you hear a loud bang. One of the tires bursts. He doesn't stop. Instead, he keeps driving on the flat tire, burning the rim against the ground, sparks flying everywhere. He stops, looks at the camera with a smile, and says something like, "It's still running perfectly fine." Then he takes it to another level, literally drives it into a river. Water starts flooding the underbody and the tailpipes, but he keeps accelerating, sending waves behind him. Next, he drives the Ferrari onto a dirt hill, and from the top, he launches it off like a ramp. And it lands hard, with the front bumper smashing into the ground. Pieces of the front splitter and lights scatter everywhere. The car is still moving, but the damage is serious. The check engine light turns on, and warning messages start flashing
the
across the
Rolls-Royce
dashboard.
and the Ferrari,
You might think he'd
takes a
slow down a bit, but no. This time, WhistlinDiesel goes after one of the toughest cars ever made, the Mercedes-Benz G-Class, or as many call it, the G-Wagon. This luxury off-roader is powered by a 4.0-liter V8 twin-turbo engine, producing 577 horsepower and 850 newton-meters of torque. It's a beast built for performance, luxury, and pure dominance. He begins by showing off the car, the classic boxy design, the powerful stance, and the unmistakable sound when you close the door. That solid thunk. He smiles and says something like, "Let's see if this luxury tank is really as strong as people say." He starts driving off-road, first through some muddy terrain. The G-Class handles it easily, He pushes harder, climbing steep hills, then splashing through puddles. Still, the car looks unbothered. Then he decides to upgrade the challenge. He drives over massive rocks, deliberately scraping the underbody. The sound of metal grinding against stone echoes loudly. Still, the G-Class keeps moving, like it's built for this kind of punishment. Next, he drives through a small river, water almost reaching the door handles. Mud sprays all over the sides, but the car keeps going strong. He shifts gears and heads toward a construction site. And this is where things get wild. He drives the G-Class over piles of concrete debris, and the suspension starts taking serious hits. He slams into the gas, drifts on gravel, and the tires spin so hard that dust and smoke fill the air. Suddenly, crack! The rear bumper snaps loose. He gets out, looks at it, shrugs, and instead of fixing it, he kicks it off completely. He then goes for something more extreme. He finds a huge slope, almost like a small cliff, and decides to drive the G-Class straight up. The tires spin and screech, rocks flying everywhere, but somehow the car climbs halfway up, then slides backward, violently. It lands hard on its rear wheels, bouncing like a toy truck. The impact bends the suspension, and you can hear parts rattling underneath. Still, he keeps pushing. He drives onto uneven ground again, and this time one wheel lifts completely off the surface. But the G-Class keeps crawling forward. Then, in pure WhistlinDiesel style, he opens the doors, climbs on top of the car, and starts jumping on the roof with his boots, leaving dents everywhere. He even grabs a shovel and begins smashing the windshield. Glass shatters, pieces fall inside the cabin. He laughs, sits on the crushed roof, and says, "Well, it's still a Mercedes." But the grand finale is even crazier. He ties the G-Class to another truck with a steel chain and starts pulling, a full-on tug of war. Both vehicles rev like monsters until suddenly the G-Class snaps a part of its frame. Smoke rises from the rear tires and one of the axles looks completely twisted. When it's all over, he steps out, looks at the camera, and with a grin says, "Not bad for a luxury SUV." By the end of the video, the once glorious Mercedes G-Class looks like it's been through a demolition derby, dented, covered in mud, windows cracked, but still, somehow, running. After the Ferrari and the G-Class, you'd think he's done. But this time, WhistlinDiesel decides to go electric. Yes, he brings in a Tesla Model 3 Performance, the car known for its silence, speed, and smart technology. It's powered by dual electric motors, producing 450 horsepower, and can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 3.3 seconds. It's one of the smoothest, cleanest cars ever made. But what happens when it meets a man who loves destruction? At first, he drives it gently. Silent, calm, everything looking perfect. He praises the smooth acceleration, the futuristic screen, the comfort of driving without a single gear shift. Then he says, "It's quiet. Too quiet." He switches the car into track mode, and suddenly, the peaceful Tesla becomes a wild machine. He starts doing donuts on a dusty field. The car spins, smoke rising from the tires, and the silent hum of the electric motors fills the air. Next, he drives over sharp gravel, and you can hear stones smashing against the floor pan. The underbody scrapes, sparks flying underneath. He pushes the accelerator to the floor. The car rockets forward, but because of the uneven road, it bounces and scrapes violently. He then drives straight into a muddy patch. The Tesla's clean white body turns completely brown. Mud splashes over the roof, windshield, and even inside the headlights. He laughs and says, "I wonder how Autopilot feels about this." He activates Autopilot, but the cameras are completely covered in dirt. The system gets confused. The car jerks left and right, warning alerts flashing everywhere. Then, of course, he takes it further. He opens the door, gets out, and starts pouring muddy water directly over the front cameras and sensors. The car immediately starts flashing red warnings on the screen. Autopilot disabled. He smiles, gets back in, and presses the accelerator again, hard. He speeds through puddles, then suddenly drives into a shallow pond. Water starts rising around the car. The Tesla pushes forward for a few seconds, but then stops. Everything goes silent. He tries to restart it. Nothing. The screens go black. For the first time, WhistlinDiesel just sits there in total silence. He opens the door, steps out barefoot into the water, and says with a grin, "Guess we just found the Tesla's limit." But even then, he's not done. He brings in a bulldozer, hooks a chain to the Tesla, and starts dragging it out of the pond, sparks and water splashing everywhere. When it's out, he connects it to a power source to recharge, but the charging port is full of mud. He wipes it, plugs in the charger, and the screen briefly turns on, showing the Tesla logo, then instantly shuts off again. He looks at the camera and says, "Still works. Kind of." The once sleek Tesla Model 3, now dented, soaked, and covered in mud, sits lifeless under the gray sky. The video ends with him walking away, saying, "Electric cars are cool until they're not." After everything we've seen, the Rolls-Royce crushed, the Ferrari beaten, the G-Class bent, and the Tesla drowned, you might be asking the same question everyone does. Why does he do this? Why would someone destroy cars worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, each one a symbol of engineering perfection and luxury? The answer, in a way, is simple. Because that's exactly what made WhistlinDiesel famous. He's not just testing cars. He's testing boundaries. He turns perfection into chaos. And that chaos gets millions of views. When you see him smashing a Rolls-Royce, you're not just watching destruction. You're watching curiosity in its rawest form. How much can it take? What happens if we push it beyond its limits? And that's what keeps people watching. But at the same time, his videos always stir up huge controversy. Some people call it wasteful, saying those cars could have been donated or sold. Others defend him, claiming he's using his own money, and that these experiments actually reveal how strong, or weak, these luxury cars truly are. Whatever your opinion, there's no denying one thing. His content is impossible to ignore. He's turned destruction into an art form, and each video feels like a chaotic science experiment, mixing adrenaline, danger, and curiosity all in one shot. And ironically, by destroying these cars, he's made himself a legend of the automotive world. His videos go viral, brands get talked about more than ever, and fans wait eagerly to see what he'll destroy next. So whether you love him or hate him, you have to admit, nobody else on YouTube does it quite like WhistlinDiesel. Because in a world full of perfect cars and polished reviews, he's the one who dares to break everything, just to show us what's underneath the perfection.